Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Purposeful Conversations with me, Emmy, here in the PAMI Code Facebook community. And today we are joined by a coach, speaker, and human design expert whose passion is to support women to uncover and accept their truth and commit to spiritually aligned and sustainable growth and transformation in their lives. I know that we've been through some difficult times in 2020, and I think this is something that we really have to talk about now and really understanding what it means to have a spiritual mindset and how it can elevate our mental health and well-being. So without further ado, let's all welcome our guest today, Cleo Whitehead. Hi,
Hello.
Cleo.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us in our conversation today. I'm really excited because it's not very often that we get to talk about linking spirituality and mindset and well-being. Usually, when we talk about mindset, we talk about it from a psychology point of view, but actually not
Mm,
linking the spiritual side of it. So it's gonna be quite interesting to have your take on how you actually connect all of these components together. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into doing what you're doing now.
yeah, I got into doing what I do now through my own life experience. So, as a very young person, I think I felt quite different to everybody around me, and I had this sense of, is this it? And I had this sense of there's got to be more to life than what I can see with my physical eyes, and I felt a bit like a square peg in a round hole. And I felt, as a child, a bit wise before my years, and because I felt different, I started to feel, because I felt different, I started to control certain things to feel more in control. And so that led me to controlling food. So it led to disordered eating behavior, and it led to exercise addiction and certain depressions and anxieties within myself, because I wanted to fit into the mainstream and didn't
Mm.
understand why I didn't feel like I fit. And so it was like, okay, well, I'll try and control things and try and make myself fit, and then I'll feel more in control. So that led me on a, when I got to sort of my early 20s, it sort of got to that point where, enough's enough. I don't want to be controlled by my ego, by fear, by my mind. I want to live a life of freedom, and I want to learn to love myself and embrace me. I want to learn to go with the flow. And so I started on a bit of a spiritual quest, a bit of a personal development journey. Any self-help book you can ever imagine, I've read it. I listened to TED Talks. I did so much at a very young age. And then I just thought, you know what, like, I love this, the positive psychology, personal development, spirituality, human design. It just all just spoke to me, about this idea that there's this whole spiritual, energetic world that we can't see with our eyes. And when you connect to it, that's where you find this inner peace and happiness. And then I started to sort of take it on a logical level and started to learn it. And then it was like, right, I really need to embody this now. And that led to my degree in applied positive psychology and coaching. And then I started coaching and then realized I was quite good at it. And then I worked in mental health crisis alongside doing my master's degree. And then when my master's degree was finished in coaching, it was like, okay, well, I want to go try and give this coaching a whirl, and here I am. So
Oh, amazing. Well, it sounds so meant to be.
yeah.
It's connecting your life experience. You went for it. It's almost like it's calling you and you're just going towards that calling, and you did your training, you have the qualifications, the experience, and here you are now understanding that what you do can actually make an impact on others who may also be struggling. It's absolutely wonderful that you're using your skills in this way. But you did mention something about human design. For
Mm.
those who haven't heard of it before, could you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, it's human design, and it's funny when I try and explain this because I have to explain it to different people in different ways so it lands. But human design is essentially a spiritual science. It's a modality. It's a framework, a tool. It combines the Kabbalah, the I Ching, astrology, and the chakra system. So it's four different spiritual philosophies pulled into one, and it is basically a roadmap to being the best version of yourself. What human design explains is that we are all unique. We all have our own unique energy, and we are designed to learn to understand that energy and then live by it. And when we do, that's when we let go of resistance, and we manifest the life that we were supposed to live. So it's a roadmap essentially on who you are and what you came here to do and how to get there.
I suppose it's probably easier said than done when you talk to people, who you are and your purpose and all that. And some people actually do get confused
Yeah.
about that. Like, who am I?
Mm.
There's this existential crisis and not
Mm.
really understanding their purpose because there are so many distractions and so many things that society tells us how we should be, that makes us forget that yes, we have our unique design and our unique purpose in life. So do you have any strategies that you could suggest if there's someone out there who's thinking, okay, that's really good to think about the human design and following our unique path, but how do we know what it is without really being too without putting in too much pressure with society tells us?
So that's what human design is. So once you learn about human design, it gives you a roadmap, a step-by-step framework to teach you how to be who you are and to let go of the societal and external conditioning. So before I knew about human design, I knew that, you've got to go with your intuition, you've got to follow your heart, you've got to follow your soul, you've got to speak your truth. And I was like, well, that's brilliant, but how do I do that? And
Yeah,
then
it's
yeah,
also
yeah,
fantastic
like,
to talk
yeah,
about, but it's like how?
what does that mean? So I never really knew any, I knew about meditation and mindfulness and nature, and I knew all those things helped me to connect and let go of societal conditioning, but it didn't really help to really properly drown out the noise, because the noise from society is so loud.
Mm,
Human design helped me to drown out that noise immediately, because when you learn, there's three things in human design: your energy type. So we all have a unique energy type, and there's 5 different types, and that energy type describes how you best operate in the world. And then there's your strategy and your authority, and those two things are who makes your decisions for you inside and how do you make them. So when you learn what your strategy and authority is, it shows you exactly how to make the decisions that are going to be right for you, so that you can live out your purpose and let go of societal conditioning. So that's the tool. Human design is the tool, and that's how you do it. Obviously, in terms of how you would learn more about human design, I started with online. I started to just Google human design, and then I started to follow people on Instagram that were talking about it, aka now me. And then I did my level 1 and 2 reader training, and then did my coaching training, and now I do readings for people and coach. So
that's amazing. So
mm,
there's actually so much to learn, and it's I wouldn't say that it is new because it's coming from very old traditions.
ancient.
Yes,
Mm,
ancient traditions that we are now trying to put together and make it applicable and accessible in our
mm.
modern day living. But you did mention about the 5 energy types. Could you talk to us a bit about it? What are these? I hope it doesn't. It's
No,
not turning out to be like a lecture type of
no,
thing, but
no, no.
it's
I'll briefly explain it. So, we all have our energy type. There are 5 different energy types. It's a bit like, if you follow any other spiritual development, whatever. It's a bit like an archetype. So you have your own archetype, and it's how you operate in the world best and how you navigate. So we have our manifestors. Our manifestors were the first people on the planet. Our manifestors were designed to come onto the planet, lead, and create. It's sort of, I know what I want, and I'm going to go out and get it. That's it. That's a manifestor. And then you've got a generator. Now, the generators are the people that generate energy. They generate the energy. And the way that they do that is by doing work they love. Now, a generator is designed to respond to life. So rather than plan their life ahead of time, which we are taught to do in society, we're taught you need to plan your life ahead of time. A generator is designed to follow what excites them and let
mm,
life show them. The issue that we've faced is 73% of the population are generators, and we're all conditioned to believe that we need to manifest.
Oh, right.
Whereas
And without
actually,
them realizing, so there's a
yeah.
majority, but the way we were trained.
Trained. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we are conditioned to all try and be manifestors, and we're not all manifestors. So you have your generators, and once a generator can learn to respond to life and live from their excitement in the present moment, then the world sort of lights up.
You
Do you know
go
what I
with the
mean?
flow. If you
Go with the
actually
flow.
understand that, it's like, oh
Yes.
yeah, this is happening. Let's go with it. Let's go with it.
Yeah, let's go. It's all about response. I'm a generator, and my biggest frustration is life in life is trying to plan my life ahead of time, and all that's ever done is get me stuck and stuck and stuck,
Mm,
because I'm designed to respond to life and follow my excitement. It's like follow I always when I do my human design readings for generators, I always say it's like following the breadcrumbs.
yeah, yeah.
Following the
You
breadcrumbs.
just keep going and
Yeah, you just follow one excitement at a time, one excitement, and you don't need to know where that's leading. You don't need to know where it's going. So then you have the projectors. Now, the projectors came onto the planet, they were the third people. They are designed to guide us. They are the efficient visionaries. So they can see what's going to happen in the future. They are like, you go to them if you want some visions, if you want efficiency. Their design is, they are deeply wise. They're like the wise owl on top of the mountain that knows what's going to happen, and you go to them for their juicy wisdom. A strategy for a projector is to wait to be invited. So a projector has a really penetrating aura. So it's really important that rather than a projector trying to just like spurge out all their wisdom and say, come to me, come to me, come to me, a projector really becomes the best version of their self when they stand away like that wise owl or like that person on the mountain, and
and
they
let
wait for
them
them.
come.
They let them come
Yeah.
exactly. And then you've got the reflectors. Now the reflectors are deeply open in their human design, and reflectors are designed to reflect energy. So reflectors are designed to reflect back what is needed to the other
Mm,
types. They are only
mm,
2% of the population, but a reflector is designed to be deeply open with no conditioning. And what they do is their only mission is to get themselves in an environment that feels good to them. When a reflector gets themselves into an environment that feels good, they reflect back exactly what is needed. So we see ourselves in a reflector. So they're a guide as well. And then the fifth one is, it's a hybrid between a manifester and a generator. And a manifesting generator is like, it's got a bit of both. So they are designed to respond to life first, but then they can initiate straight after. And a manifesting generator, because they're that hybrid, they're designed to be people that multitask, that do lots of different things. If you meet somebody who's got like 4 businesses and 2 hobbies, and
yeah.
that's probably a manifesting generator.
Yeah, they
They've just
have
got,
a lot of passions, but they can
yeah,
get on with it.
yeah. And like a manifester, they're not all, a generator is designed to follow through with something all the way through to the end. Generators are designed to keep going until something's finished, whereas a manifester, who's a more creator, they might create something and then off they go. And a manifesting generator is a bit the same. They've still got that generator energy, but they can leave a project before it's finished, or they can switch and change. Whereas a generator, once their sacral kicks in, it's like they follow through. And that's why it's so
Right.
important that a generator connects to the right things, because otherwise they have to follow through till they reach exhaustion, which is quite bad for a human
Could
being.
get
So
burned out,
yeah,
right?
so yeah, exactly. So there's our types. So
That's really fascinating because it's
yeah,
it's not it's not really something that we talk about in the mainstream, and definitely not in mainstream psychology. We don't talk about spirituality that much. Okay, from time to time, but particularly in positive psychology, we talk about spirituality and nature and meditation and mindfulness, but not really talking about energy types and so on. So it's quite fascinating that yes, you have a background in qualifications and training in psychology, but you also have this knowledge of energy types and spirituality and
mm,
trying to merge them. So in terms of the energy types and having this spiritual mindset, do you have any particular strategies that you use to help elevate our mental health and well-being, particularly if you understand your energy type?
yeah. For me, you'll see in my logo is think less, live more. So that's the underlying foundation of, if we think less, aka we drop out of the mind. So our brain has to think. Of course it has to think. It's designed to think. We can't, and this is where mindfulness is a big part of my coaching business, is and spirituality, because our brain has to think, but what we don't realize is that we can choose what it thinks and how much. We don't realize that we have more control over our mind, and we just let our mind rule the show, and it's constantly on the go. So when I say in my logo, think less, live more, the strategy that I'm using with my clients is to help them to drop out of the mind, drop out of external conditioning, drop out of those shoulds, and I should do this, I should do that, drop out of that, the inner critic. So in spirituality we call it the ego, in psychology we call it the inner critic, same thing. And that's what another thing is, like, spirituality and psychology, to me, well, they're one and the same thing, we just have different
Different
language.
language. That's right.
Exactly,
That's right.
exactly. So the inner critic or the ego, I help my clients to first become aware of it. What is it and what's it saying? Then accept it. So acceptance is vital. Obviously, we accept both the ego and the spirit because we have both of them, and we have both for a reason. So we accept it, and then we're able to then move into alignment once we've accepted. So I'm helping my clients using positive psychology, using mindfulness, using spirituality, using human design. I'm helping my clients to drop out of their mind and allow the inner wisdom of the body to take control of the car, essentially. So if you
Yeah.
are a car, it's like your mind shouldn't be driving the car, your body drives the car, and your mind's just there for the ride.
Yeah, I have to say we follow very similar approaches, because there are some self-help gurus who would say, you need to identify your inner critic and crush it. Like, you have to destroy it. And we would say, you don't really have to fight, you don't really have to destroy, you just need to acknowledge that it is there and accept it. And by accepting it, you can actually just go with it, It's but yeah, yeah, with spirituality and psychology, you are absolutely right. We have very similar strategies, but we're just using different languages. And actually, right now, I'm very much into quantum physics for some reason. Like,
Amazing.
my son is absolutely fascinated with the universe and energy, but from a scientific point of view, in me learning about spirituality and all that, I can see a lot of similarities, but just using different language, like using different jargons, but you are essentially talking about similar concepts and similar principles. But Cleo, in your case, what are some of the challenges that your clients face? One of some of the biggest challenges that your clients face, and how does having a spiritual mindset help them get themselves out of that challenge?
The biggest challenge is clients come to me thinking they should be what they're not. So client will come to me and they will be doing a lot of the shoulding. I should do this, I should do that, I should do more of this, should I do less of this? It's all of this. I need to be something that I am not. It's this self-judgment, self-comparison. I'm not doing this right and this needs to be fixed. It's that whole philosophy of life is not working out for me in the way that I expected.
Mm.
So the spiritual mindset work that I do is to help my clients to become aware of what is going on with them. So a big part of spirituality is that life isn't happening to us, it's happening for us.
Mm.
And so if you read any spiritual text, philosophy, framework, what spirituality suggests is that these transitional periods of discomfort, frustration, in the Kabbalist philosophy, they call it the tikkun, which means the fixing, which means we all come here with something to fix. And the reason that we have this thing to fix is so that we can transcend and grow. Because from a spiritual perspective, if your life is perfect and easy breezy and there's never any struggle and everything's perfect, then how do you grow? How do you change? Like, if there wasn't its duality, if there wasn't bad, how could we see good? If there
Yeah.
wasn't light, how can we see dark? So I'm helping my clients to develop this more spiritual mindset, which is one of acceptance. It's one of, actually, all of these things that have happened in my life, yes, they're not ideal, but I can choose how I react.
Mm.
I can choose whether I find meaning out of them or I resist against them and try and push them away, forget them, stuff them under the carpet. So a spiritual mindset essentially is creating meaning out of your life and experience, and accepting that sometimes what we expect from life isn't what we get.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, for so many of our members who may be listening today, there's all this message around I should be like this. Why am I not doing enough of that? And it's a lot of self-judgment. But having a coach like you, Cleo, having that spiritual mindset helps us to shift our perspective and perhaps even raise awareness. Sometimes we may not be aware that we are having these messages in our head, call it the inner critic or the ego, whatever it may be. But sometimes we are just unaware that
Yep.
we are saying these things to ourselves, and having a coach, a mentor, or someone to guide you through how you are processing information or how you're interpreting your life really can help. So Cleo, if you have any message to our viewers out there, who's listening right now, maybe they are feeling quite stuck, feeling they're quite they're stuck in a rut and feeling quite low right now, what do you have to say to them?
I think I've spent periods of my life where I felt in a rut or I felt stuck. And I would say, use it as, can you use this experience, this, I call it a transitional period. Can you see this period as a transitional period, an opportunity for intel? So rather than seeing it as this is wrong, this is broken, I need to get out of this, I need to change something, create a pause. So before you feel that need to change, actually, what could this moment be telling me? So from a different perspective, what could this moment of frustration or this stuckness be showing me? What needs to happen so that I can accept it, be where I am at now, because that will take away the resistance. Because we know from, again, if you're interested in spirituality, what we resist, we persist. So the universe will keep showing us resistance until we sort of, I guess, awaken, till we wake up. So where there is resistance, there is a lesson. So I would say to your listeners, if you're feeling stuck, take a step back, take a deep breath, pause, and ask yourself what this could be showing you. And it may be showing you that you need a coach. It may be showing you that you don't like your job and perhaps you could think about changing. It might be showing you that perhaps you need to become more conscious in your relationship, or that you don't spend enough time outdoors, or that you've not got enough balance in your life. You're working too much and not living enough. It could be showing you a number of things, but try not to resist and fix it immediately.
Mm.
Pause, see what it's showing you, and then think about what the next step could possibly be from where you are at right now.
I love it. I think there's wisdom in just being still and just hitting the pause button without necessarily having to fix it immediately. Just asking, okay, I am in this position, acknowledging that you are in this position, just to be still and listen and be aware of what it might be telling us. You don't necessarily have to do anything immediately, but just having that stillness allows you to refresh and to see it from a different perspective. And yeah, I suppose when you have that calling to, maybe I need a coach, or maybe I need to do something else, maybe I need to leave my job. Oh, it is scary. it
Mm,
it might trigger more anxiety, but just take
yeah.
it easy.
Yeah, like
Be still.
there's nothing you need to do right now. Like that might be something that you need to address with
Hmm.
work, but not everybody needs to do that whole, when you're in the personal development world, it's like, yeah, if you want the life you're going to
Go.
live, you've got to go, you've got to quit your job, you've got to take risks. That doesn't work for every energy type. That doesn't
Hmm.
work for all of us. Some of us need to feel stable in our root chakra, and and that serves us, because we don't want to put anybody in flight, fright, freeze response.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's all about acceptance and compassion. And if you don't like, if it's the job, for instance, you can send a message to the universe that you're not loving your job and you're ready to pivot. Doesn't mean to say you have to quit. Who knows what the universe will show you. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just about being really gentle and
So
just
it's
create.
it's it's acknowledging where you are, and then really asking what is it that you want,
Mm,
without necessarily having to go and do it immediately. Let it go, let it flow. I think that's, it's easier that way, without putting, yeah, without putting too much pressure on yourself to make it happen. The universe will make it happen, and you go with it.
And we're going to just to go a tiny little bit deeper on the whole spirituality front here. If you do, if you actually adopt the belief, and this isn't for everybody, it's a belief that I adopt, is that if this isn't your only life, if this is just part of it, if our soul reincarnates into something else, then each life is just building on the next one. In actual fact, you don't need to know everything and complete everything in this life. You don't need to, what's ideal in each life is to find moments of peace and happiness and feel good. You don't have to conquer and smash everything in this one life, because that resistant energy is like that desperate grasping energy of, I need to get this right because this is the only time. It's just about thinking on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to, I think what we all do as human beings is we have that beautiful thing with our brain where we have memories and we can visualize,
Mm.
but we often use that in very unhelpful ways because we regret the past. And I wrote a blog about this last week. We regret the past, and then we worry about the future.
Yeah.
So in actual fact, if we can live more in the present moment and ask ourselves, I often say to clients, okay, ask yourself each day what you need from that day, not from the rest of your life.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't need to know your truth for the rest of your life. You don't need to know what your truth is forever, because that can be quite triggering. Like, oh my God, I don't know what my truth is. It's like, what's your truth today?
Yeah, and
Just today.
especially as you've said, for the majority of us, being, did you say generators?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say 73% or something like that?
Yeah, like generators and manifesting generators together are 73%. So yeah,
Mm,
it's a
yeah,
lot of us.
just go. You don't need to have it all mapped out. So,
No, 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 definitely not. And there's different centers within a human design chart, and one of them is the G center, and this is the center for direction and identity. And 43% of us have that undefined, which means we're never going to have a sense of direction. It is literally going to be follow the breadcrumbs, follow the breadcrumbs, follow the breadcrumbs. And when you can get comfortable with that, there's no more resistance.
yeah, it gets easier. It gets easier
Mm.
eventually. But Cleo, thank you very much. So
Thank you.
fascinating to have these conversations. It's completely different from what we usually talk about in this community. The PAMI code is actually called Purpose, Action, Momentum, and Energy. When I
Mm.
was coming up with this acronym, I actually didn't quite understand why I have the E. What does that energy stand for? Like 3 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm being called to have it, Pame. Purpose,
Yeah.
action, momentum. I get that, but I don't quite understand energy. But the conversations that I've been having for the past 2 years, it's becoming more clear why the E was there, even at the start when I haven't got a clue. Like, what is the
Why?
E?
Why
Maybe
is the
it's
E?
just burnout, but actually, energy is everything.
Energy is everything. We're all
Energy
energy.
is everything. I didn't know it at the time when I created Pame. It just happened and I went with it. So,
Well, your soul knew.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Your
yeah.
soul knew. So amazing,
It's,
amazing.
it's it's fascinating. I keep telling my husband this. Initially, I thought it was gonna be vamos, like
Mm,
values, action, momentum, and support. From a
mm,
psychologist's perspective, like vamos is easier for me. I understand all of that: values, action, momentum, support. But for some reason, I was being called to call it PAME: purpose, action, momentum, and energy. Haven't got a clue what energy was, went with it, and now it's energy is everything. So I'm just fascinated with how this spirituality, it's all quite new to me, but I'm absolutely fascinated with how it is unraveling here and now. So, Cleo, if people wanted to know more about you, what you can do to help them, how they can work with you, where can they find you?
Thank you, Emmy. Yeah, you can. My main, the place that I show up the most is my Instagram, which is Coaching with Cleo, all one word, and it's Cleo, Cleo. I use LinkedIn, so Cleo Whitehead on LinkedIn, and then my website is Cleo at coachingwithcleo.co.uk, and you can find out about what coaching programs and human design readings I offer on the website. And on Instagram, I just produce yummy content every day, talking about a mixture of human design, spiritual mindset, personal well-being, etc. So
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'll put the links in the description. So if you want to follow Cleo on Instagram and check out all her links, it's all in the description. So thank you again, Cleo. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope that you found this conversation helpful. And yeah, if you want to catch up again next time, we're just here in the Pami Code Facebook group. Until then, take care, everyone. And bye for now. Have a nice day.
Thanks for having
Bye.
me. Bye.
Bye.